Hi, this is Brad Constantine, and this is a podcast recording of the Old Testament. Although this is not an official recording of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, every effort's been made to be as doctrinally accurate as possible. I'll be using for the text the Joseph Smith translation of the Old Testament, along with many commentaries from general authorities of the Church, BYU professors, Bible scholars, and others. This format will be very detailed, and so if you want a deep analysis of the Old Testament, you come to the right place. Thanks for your attendance. Hi, and welcome back, and this will be for 1 Kings chapter 14. Seems like things keep deteriorating here among the children of Israel. At that time, Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, fell sick. And Jeroboam said to his wife, "Arise, I pray thee, and disguise thyself, that thou be not known to be the wife of Jeroboam, and get thee to Shiloh. Behold, there is Ahijah the prophet, which told me that I should be king over this people. And take with thee 10 loaves and cracknels, or cakes, and a cruse of honey, and go to him. He shall tell thee what shall become of the child." And Jeroboam's wife did so, and arose and went to Shiloh, and came to the house of Ahijah. But Ahijah could not see, for his eyes were set or blind by reason of his age. And the Lord said unto Ahijah, Behold, the wife of Jeroboam cometh to ask a thing of thee for her son, for he is sick. Thus and thus shalt thou say unto her, for it shall be, when she cometh in, that she shall feign herself to be another woman. And it was so, when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet, as she came in at the door, that he said, Come in, thou wife of Jeroboam, why feignest thou thyself to be another? For I am sent to thee with heavy tidings. Go tell Jeroboam, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Forasmuch as I exalted thee from among the people, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and rent the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it thee, because he kept not my commandments, but thou hast not been as my servant David, when he followed me with all his heart, only to do right in mine eyes. That was the Joseph Smith translation that was different. Verse 9, But hast done evil above all that were before thee, for thou hast gone and made thee other gods, and molten images to provoke me to anger, and hast cast me behind thy back. Therefore, behold, I will bring evil upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel, and will take away the remnant of the house of Jeroboam, or will burn or consume or destroy, as a man taketh away dung till it be all gone. Him that dieth of Jeroboam in the city shall the dogs eat, and him that dieth in the field shall the fowls of the air eat, for the Lord hath spoken it. Arise thou therefore, get thee to thine own house, and when thy feet enter into the city, the child shall die. And all Israel shall mourn for him, and bury him, for he only of Jeroboam shall come to the grave, because in him there is found some good thing toward the Lord God of Israel in the house of Jeroboam. Moreover, the Lord shall raise him up a king over Israel, who shall cut off the house of Jeroboam that day, but what, even now? For the Lord shall smite Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel out of this good land, which he gave to their fathers, and shall scatter them beyond the river. In other words, the Euphrates, because they have made their groves, in the Hebrew Asherim, idolatrous wooden poles, pillars, or trees, provoking the Lord to anger. And he shall give Israel up because of the sins of Jeroboam, who did sin, and who made Israel to sin. And Jeroboam's wife arose and departed, and came to Tirzah, and when she came to the threshold of the door, the child died. And they buried him, and all Israel mourned for him, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by the hand of the servant Ahijah the prophet. And the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, now he warred, and how he reigned, and how they are written in the book of the Chronicles. It is significant that the kings of Israel and Judah kept official records. These records are no longer extant. They were used as source books by the authors of our books of Kings, and they are not our books of Chronicles. And so the book of Chronicles are different than these books that are being mentioned here. The book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. And the days which Jeroboam reigned were 22 years, and he slept with his fathers, and Nadab his son reigned in his stead. And Rehoboam the son of Solomon reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel, to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah as Ammonitess. And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy with their sin which they had committed above all that their fathers had done. For they also built them high places and images and groves on every high hill and every and under every green tree. And there were also Sodomites, Hebrew male prostitutes, devotees of idolatrous paganistic fertility worship in the land, and they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. And it came to pass in the 5th year of King Rehoboam that Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. And he took away the treasures of the house of the Lord and the treasures of the king's house. He even took all, and he took away all the shields of gold which Solomon had made. And King Rehoboam made in their stead brazen shields, and committed them into the hands of the chief of the guard which kept the door of the king's house. And it was so, when the king went into the house of the Lord, that the guard bare them, and brought them back into the guard chamber. The king of Egypt came to Jerusalem and took the treasures of the temple. Last time we learned about the temple. It was covered in gold. Remember, everywhere in the temple was overlaid with gold. And why would the king of Egypt steal the gold? Remember that when Israel fled Egypt, they took with them as much gold and silver as they could carry. Maybe the king of Egypt was just taking back what he thought was his. A fragment of Shishak's inscription has been found in Megiddo, and a representation of his victory over Rehoboam is found at the temple of Karnak in Egypt. Although the Bible mentions only Judah, evidence indicates that Shishak invaded the northern kingdom as well. He inscribed the names of many northern cities on his victory relief at Karnak. Verse 29. Now the rest of the acts of Rehoboam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all their days. And Rehoboam slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And his mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonitess, and Abijam his son reigned in his stead. Israel and Judah war constantly. The difference between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, Israel is the northern, had mostly wicked leaders. Judah, the southern, had righteous leaders after wicked ones. The northern kingdom was defeated and taken away 123 years before Judah was taken captive. There was not a single king in Israel that was righteous after Solomon. In Judah there were at least 5 righteous kings: Asa, Jehoshaphat, Uzziah, Jotham, and Hezekiah. Also, idolatry never took root in Judah for 3 reasons. The good influence of the temple of Jerusalem, the idolatrous kings of Judah were always followed by kings who worshiped the true God, and the kings that were idolatrous did not reign very long. So that's the end of chapter 14, and we'll see you next time. Bye.